In order to understand the Arabian Mate, you also have to understand some chess history. More than 1,000 years ago, the queen did not have the power she has today. In fact, she was a very weak piece. That made the rook the most powerful piece. And when the game had moved from Persia to the Arabian Peninsula, that meant that the Arabian checkmate was the most popular. It usually involved the knight and the rook, and it had the enemy king in the corner of the board. Notice that the knight aims at both of these squares. Of course, the rook also aims at h7, and that's important because all the rook has to do is slide all the way over to h7, and that's checkmate. No white king needed for this one. The knight has to be on this square, not this one. If the knight was on g5, of course the king could run away. And this checkmate is only possible with an enemy king in the corner of the board. We still give it the name Arabian Mate, even though queen checkmates are more popular. But this does happen in real games. Take a look at this Grandmaster game. Here, black played the move knight to f3. And of course, white, also being a Grandmaster, realized it would be a very bad idea to move the king to the corner of the chessboard because then the Arabian Mate would happen. Now, I do want to tell you, despite the fact that white played the correct king move, if we advance forward many moves later, we arrived at this position. And sadly, white played the move bishop to d5, and we had a new type of checkmate after rook to f2. Not exactly the Arabian Mate, but since it does involve the rook and the knight, I thought I would show it to you. Because the king's not in the corner, though, we also need the rook to have the support of the pawn. Lastly, some people qualify other close similar checkmates as Arabian Mates. For example, in this opening that comes out of the Scotch Gambit, if black does not realize that his king is unprotected on this open file and moves the light squared bishop one square too far to f5, it should have gone to e6 to block that file, then white can actually play the amazing double check, knight to f6, and because black is in check with the knight and the rook, the rule is when you're in double check, you have to move the king. The king's only move is d8. And when this rook comes all the way up to e8, you can see it's very similar to the Arabian Mate. Now, we do need this pawn to be here or else the king would be able to run away. But because knowledge of many checkmate patterns is so important, I thought you might benefit from these very close similarities to the standard Arabian Mate.